Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Chantastic Lifestyles, where we talk about motivation, business, and life. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Drew Sides over here. He's my business partner, and the reason why we're doing the video today is because it's actually our 1-year anniversary. Don't think of it that way, guys. I meant for business. And one of the things we do is we actually celebrate with whiskey. So, congratulations, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers. That was a delayed cheers, wasn't it? Oh, that was delicious. Anyways, so we're going to start off with a couple of different questions. So, let's start this off. Why don't you tell everyone about your background, your your story?
So, business has always been part of my life. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs growing up, and I started my first business when I was 8. My dad owned a vending and food service company, and instead of doing the typical lemonade stand that kids normally do, I started bringing home all of the different types of sodas and snacks that he would sell through his company, and I set up stands all over our neighborhood. And it turned into quite a different business. And then as I got older, and that became a little creepy to do, as a bigger child sitting on a corner selling snacks.
You didn't want to come off as a pedophile?
No. I started mowing lawns, and that's really when everything changed for me. I started with a few friends, then through an ad on Craigslist, believe it or not, I started cutting lawns for some of the largest banks in the country, and we really moved from there into foreclosure management, which is my main company now, where we are very large in bank cleanouts and rehabs, renovations for REO foreclosed homes.
That's awesome. And guys, this guy is being very modest here as well. So he is actually one of the top. And there's a little more about his background, which we'll talk about in the future videos. But this just goes to show, how awesome and humble of a guy he is. Since you're here, I don't want to do most of the talking. I want to let you tell, the viewers out there how we actually started business. I think this is a pretty interesting story. But I'll let him tell it.
So about 18 months into my company, TAC came in as my Verizon sales rep to try and sell me GPSs for my trucks. And it was not a product I was interested in, but he believed in it, and he tried to sell me very hard. It was not something I was interested in. I knew it from the get-go, but as I would come to find out later, when he believes in something, it is unstoppable in what he wants to get across. Really lost touch after that, and about 2 years later, he came back to me as my health insurance sales rep through my payroll company. And in so many words, as I now have come to realize, he didn't believe in that product and was very upfront about that. So we ended up spending the entire slotted time we had for the meeting talking about different things that we had been doing since we had last seen each other. And it ended with us discussing going to look at properties and starting a real estate investment company, that was about 16 months ago, and we closed on our first property a year ago today.
Yeah. And just a little quick tidbit, and this is a personal passion of mine because I highly believe in sales, but I also highly believe in ethical, moral sales. So that's why, when we first, started working with a telecommunication company, I believe in the product. That's why he said, it's unstoppable, which, sales is a big part of business. But when it came down to the health insurance piece, it's just the product never worked, which is why I told him essentially, just no. But that's the thing, right? With life, you get honestly rewarded for doing the things that, is right, treating people right, and thinking and acting based on long-term goals and dreams. Anyways, I'm going to stop that little tidbit, but what I'm interested in finding out, actually I never really heard this story too, but I want to hear you talking about your very first deal, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the deals we've done so far.
So my first deal really came out of the blue. I was passively looking just to do different things. I was really starting to get bored with the day job, just managing the foreclosures. I wanted something new. Common theme is I generally get bored of doing the same type of work after a couple of years. And I was looking, and I had a certain price point that I wanted to hit. It was very low compared to different typical markets. So I knew that what I was looking at was a bit out there for people. So I pitched a few friends, and we ended up coming together and buying a place it ended up being for $19,000.
So let me interject here for a second, if you don't mind. So 2 questions. One question is going to be, how old were you when you did your first deal? And second, how many people actually told you it was impossible or something negative? Because I know when we did our first deal, there was a lot of different opposition, but I want the viewers out there to see, actually, you know what, I'm just going to let you tell it.
So I had actually just turned 22 when I did my first deal. There were not very many, if any, positive things that were said about it other than the price point. Wow, you just bought a house for $19,000. Of course, those were the people who didn't see what it looked like on the inside. Long story short, we ended up redoing the entire place, rebuilding a wall from the ground up because everything was rotten. This particular house, when we went and tore everything up, we actually found bricks dating it back to 1865. So it was significantly older than listed, than we had expected, and it lines up with a lot of the problems that we had found. But some of the people that were very influential in my life even told me that it was a bad idea, that real estate is to be done off of what your appraisal and appreciation is going to be on a property, not what your rental rates and your net income is. Now I found in the last 3 years that there are 2 major different schools and trains of thought in this, that certain people maximize their rental income and others are worried strictly about appreciation and having properties in nicer areas. I can see the benefits of both. However, I'm having a much higher risk tolerance than a lot of people. Prefer the rental strategy. We maximize our rental income on every property, and by no means are we slumlords in the process. Our properties are gorgeous. They are 100% newly renovated 99% of the time.
And I can definitely attest to that because, we recently started doing a little more work. So I own the construction company that, helps you do some of the renovation. We make sure, good quality is taken care of. But the biggest part is really, how you treat your tenants and, how you overcome your obstacles. So you talked about, how you went through, some issues, some problems. For example, finding the brick was what,
1865.
So 1865. So can you tell us, a little more in detail what some of the problems you went through and how you actually overcame it?
So, to be fair, this was something that we jumped into really not knowing much about. My father, despite not thinking the market that I had entered was a good idea, was right there with me the entire time, helping rebuild this entire place, while I still worked at my day job, managing all of the foreclosures. And this place was a disaster. From unexpected problems to constant issues, not having dealt with this specific town before. Oh man,
And I bet it gets a little emotional too, right? Because your first deal is always going to be the ones where you're jumping in there headstrong. You don't know exactly what to expect. But I think that goes towards the mindset of people who are successful, right? Because a lot of times, you try to do something, people tell you all these things like it's impossible, you can't do it, it's not out there. There's too much risk, just, find a, nice, high-paying, secure job, so on and so forth. But
that's That's not me. That's not you.
Yep.
There are certain people who don't fit that mold, and it's important that those people get out and really just figure it out. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to feel perfectly secure about jumping into something. And I think that is what has helped us really explode our growth. We don't know all of the answers. We go in and we figure it out. At this point, I mean, looking back, yeah, it is emotional looking at that first deal and how stupid and naive I was thinking about all of the things that it just happens. No, it doesn't just happen. There's a lot that goes into getting these places up, ready to go, and livable.
And the thing I think is that a lot of people don't realize that that's what really separates you from everyone else too, and that particular mindset is what brings us to where we're at now. So speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about our first deal, how long it took,
man.
and actually how many deals we have locked down right now, how many units, and what we're expected to do by the end of the year. All right. So start it off, my friend. You want another sip of whiskey first?
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, brother.
This first deal, boy, did it look clear cut from the get-go.
Oh man.
I don't really even know where we went wrong. We had the planning in place. I guess it really starts from when our financing fell through a week before closing.
Oh yeah. I actually forgot about that part.
Had to pull that one out of thin air, and so we got the deal closed. We're working pretty headstrong on it for about 6 weeks, and everything really just kind of started falling apart from there. You can speak more to that since you were on the day-to-day with it. But
so with that deal, everyone was pretty busy. That's when Annie and I, went through a lot. So we started the deal literally 1 year ago today. We went on, I don't think it was 6 weeks, I think it was about 4 weeks, roughly around 3 to 4 weeks. And back then, so this is where incremental growth and strategy really comes in. But a year ago, I was we'll start before that because this is really what prefaced everything. So in December 2016, my wife Annie and I got married. All right, on May I got laid off, and we started talking about a family. And I figured, instead of trying to work for someone else, I want to work towards my dream. I really love real estate, and I already started a deal. I took on a hard money loan of 2% a month, interest only, which amounts up to 24% interest in a year. I had no income coming in. I just started the construction business, and literally got to that point. We were $15,000 credit card debt. We had the hard money of $85,000, and we had absolutely no income coming in. Annie got into 2 car accidents back to back, so she wasn't working, and we're literally at this stage of complete bankruptcy. And it was challenging. It was very, very challenging. Where we, anyways,
the story does get better.
So we somehow pulled, I think it was $5,000 or whatever, out of thin air, and Drew pulled his, little miracle, which he actually hates me for forcing him to pull out miracles consistently,
constantly,
to close the deal. And then halfway into it, it's like, all right, we can't, continue because we literally had absolutely no finance. So I went back to my background, sales, and I had to sell jobs so that way we can actually not just meet ends meet, but actually just be able to survive. It's not talking about even like end up even. It's just so that way the guys actually get paid, and we can actually figure out, all right, we can actually pay either some credit card or some taxes and stuff like that. But anyways, that's why we prolonged it till what, March, April?
We closed We finished in April and we closed in May
I
or
think I was,
June.
yeah,
So it was almost 8 months
yeah.
before this had been done. And we had a plan in place that we were going to be in, out, and done.
2
in
months.
8 weeks.
Yep. So, but the thing is that I think the biggest piece there is that first, when there's a will, there's a way. I think Tony Robbins says it the best, where, you know, it's not the lack of resources, it's the lack of resourcefulness. And I think this is where this partnership works out very well, because regardless of what's missing, we both have the ability and the faith in each other that we're going to make sure that we're resourceful enough to come up with a deal and finishing it. I think the second piece is also that you are going to run into problems, there are going to be issues, but don't let that deter you from trying to achieve what you want to achieve. Just understand that there are going to be challenges, fight through it, and then, you know, you will see success coming along the line. But anyways, sorry, I talk too much. So
A little bit.
continue.
On.
Yes. Let's just say, all right, so we talked about our first deal. Why don't we actually talk about the progression to where we're at now, and then what we're projected to close by the end of the year?
Well, where we are now is an incredibly different landscape.
Mhm.
We have a total of 7 units that are,
I think it's probably more than that now.
no, we have a total of 7 units that are owned,
Okay.
5 of which are occupied. No, 6.
No, because all right. So we have 110. 110 is a triplex, which a ridiculous deal. So you're talking about, you know, things that are impossible.
This is another video entirely for
Okay.
him to tell his sales ability. Well,
No, it's not just that. But anyways, all right. So we have 110, which is 3 units.
110, so
We
that's
have
3. We have
Cousins,
Cousins, which
which
is
is
3.
three,
6. We
six.
have Broadway, which is 7.
Yep. And then
Everything else is forthcoming.
okay, that you're right.
You're questioning me on my math again.
Didn't I tell you I wasn't your typical Asian? I'm not good at math,
I
man.
hear you.
Ask
So
me
we
how
have,
to get some
we have
drinks.
7 units with a total of 6 occupied, and we have an additional 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 closing by the.
Well, we actually calculated if we do the heritage, it's going to be end up 21 units total.
21 units by year end, and that will be a total of 13 months from
Yeah.
the time we closed our first deal.
Yep. And that's
Anything is possible.
yep. That's the really huge part. Yeah. Well, I can't even speak right now. I said part when I can't even repronounce it. Port something. Anyways, that's why I brought this guy on, because, you know, it's one that really shows. You actually mind if we talk a little bit more about your past, and I think
Sure.
you know what I'm more specifically leaning towards.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to. It could be a different video. It's perfectly fine.
I come from a rough background, to say the least. A broken home, and the desire and will to never go back to where we were, to watch the family fall apart, mom and dad go their separate ways, the siblings be thrown in the mix. It's something that I never will go back to, and that is single-handedly the greatest motivation to me ever. I will never let my family, my kids, my siblings, my father go through it ever again. And that is what makes the grind of the 80 hours a week, the 18-hour days, the all-nighters worth it. Because the progress that I've seen in 4 years is so far above and beyond what I could have even imagined, that it takes times like this where you really have to stop and look back, because you're stuck just looking forward, moving forward, driving forward to build that better future, that you really don't look at everything that you've done. And it makes me, I feel proud. I feel proud of what I've put together. And I couldn't have done it without everyone around me. This is by no means something that I put together just because I was the driving force doesn't mean that I could have done it without everyone else behind me. All of my guys, all of the support I had behind me, and those few people who really did just give me that one chance that I needed.
And that's I think is really powerful, because at the end of the day, I think appreciation is definitely one of those things that helps people really move forward and actually do additional things. It's also your humble attitude as well that makes you very likable, and kind of people is really rooting for you, right? But at the end of the day, I really do appreciate the partnership and the lessons you've shared. So I just want you guys to realize that it doesn't matter what your age is, it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter whatever obstacles that you may think you have in your mindset or in your background. But once you change your story, you're able to achieve things that you never even thought possible. Because I can say, for us, me and Annie, originally our goal was six deals. And that was it. That was in Chinese New Year's. We were just talking about this. Because,
Dude, we did 6 in the last 10 days.
But that's the thing, right? Like, because a lot of times people say, oh, I got to do 1 this year, then 2, then 3, then 4. It's growth is not something that's linear.
When an opportunity presents itself, you got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
You don't have to take advantage of everyone, but when you see a recurring theme, jump, do it.
Mm-hmm.
As all of my guys know, and I'm sure some of them will watch this and they will laugh when I say it, get it done.
Yep. That's good. So actually, let's do this then. What's, say, the top 3 advice you would give to people who are just starting out, are on the fence, or already succeeding?
Don't be afraid to get dirty. No one knows everything. You want, in this field specifically, or just in general, you don't want to just have someone do it for you. You need to be able to speak knowledgeably on what you're doing, what you want to do, how you want to get there. Mm-hmm. So, for a long time, I didn't know a lot about this contracting stuff. So what I did after I had a little bit of success was I bought one with the intention of fixing it myself. Mm-hmm. And I got all the way through up until the finishing stages, and I know how to hold a paintbrush. So that's where I called in the people to really help me get it done. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to get dirty and really learn how to do whatever it is you want to do. We might be talking about real estate, but this applies to anything. Mm-hmm. I guess number 2, don't be discouraged by some negative results or people telling you that that's not feasible or that doesn't fit the mold. I know that's really cliche, but it really is the truth. Had I listened to everyone telling me that what I wanted to do was a bad idea, I wouldn't be sitting here with my 30th unit closing in December in 3 years.
So I just want to interject there real fast, because I know a lot of people out there have heard a lot of it, and a lot of people mentioned about it before. But have you ever noticed, and this is kind of a recurring theme for me, where people who give you advice saying it can't be done, or the negative comments,
are often the ones who don't jump themselves.
Well, not just that. How often do you ever notice, like, the people who give you real estate advice has actually never done real estate?
It's constant.
And that people tell you, certain things is, it's bad or whatever. They actually never done it themselves, or actually have the actual knowledge about it.
Like most things. But I guess my third piece of advice is just do it. Just go.
Love it.
Just get it done.
Elaborate a little more?
Nothing
just
more
get
than
it
that.
done?
Just get it done.
I love it.
Make the change.
Love it. Alright, so can you think of anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. If anyone wants to reach out to me, discuss, talk, anything. I'm more than willing to have ideas bounced off of me. So please feel free. And I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, it's definitely my pleasure having you on, brother. Not only on this interview, but also as a partner, brother. So, guys, you just saw this interview. There's a lot of great information. If you missed anything, actually, even if you didn't feel like you missed anything, highly recommend rewatch this entire video. Pick up different things that you learned from a successful person who did his very first real estate deal in 22. All right, that's huge, guys. And it's not like he was rich or anything like that. He came off, from a less than impressive background. No offense or anything like that. But there's the same over here. So go back, read, watch the video, re-listen to it, whatever you want to do. Pick up the lessons that would help motivate you to move forward, learn the strategy. I actually want you guys to tell me what you think about this video. Do you want to watch more interviews with people who, kind of like almost rags to riches, or people say, that are rich but have, different backgrounds that can add on different experiences? At the end of the day, I just want you guys to make sure that you're not just watching this video, you take action. So do me a favor, leave in the comments below about what else you want to watch, if you want to see more of this interaction, the interviews, or if you want to learn more about motivational mindset, or you actually want to say, hey, you know what? I want to learn a little bit more about real estate. I want to, talk about the 110 deal where we got a 3-unit with
very specific deals.
Very specific deals. And then that way you guys can kind of understand what goes on behind it and also educate yourself and maybe take that leap. Because a lot of times people think it's impossible to invest in a deal without their own money or very little money, which is not the case.
At all.
Yes. Hence, where we went from our first deal taking 5-6 months roughly,
to now flipping one every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes. So anyways, leave in the comments below what you learned today, what steps you want to do to spearhead your future and take control of your destiny. And also, please do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and share this channel, all right? Do me that a huge favor. Thank you. Anyways, I've been talking too much. You're right, I talk too much. Yeah. Anyways, have a great night. Thanks, everyone.